following up from my last stream. I didn't really like that shirt I was wearing last time, so I gotta do a follow up. It's getting weird on me here. I think I got this a little better where you can see my two boards here. So you can get a better stand. So here we go and get into some 9/11 follow up and epiphanies here. I'm titling this one Pinning the Tail Donkey. When you see pinning, we can see the two I's can also be written like L's. I'm going to have to do this a bit here. When we say dawn key, we say dawn, like the dawn. Or we could say dawn. And so we also see the P and the G. If we put the 9 down, that can also be a lowercase g. We know that the G was also could be building 7. And we also see the 9 there. We see 9/11 in the G, or we could see that two different ways. All crazy symbology, like 7 breaks down to 11. I mean, there's a lot of cryptic stuff going on. So I was watching this talk by KRS-One, and he was saying like he's not a Freemason, but he's an accepted Mason. And I was like, whoa, I'm thinking about the symbology. Like, how do you get put on so big for like cultural emphasis and stuff? So I'm looking at KRS-One's name. Shout out to Louisa V. I hope you can tune into this one. I saw you were talking about the Queen, how it was 911 days since 9/11 or whatever. I got to look at what you were saying there. And then her burials on the 19th, but it's crazy. When we look at KRS-One, K is 11 and R breaks down to 9 and S is 19, which breaks down to 1. So we can see this as 9/11/01. Another way of looking at this is KIA, because K is 11, I is 9, and A is the 1, 2, which KIA is killed in action. That's military slang. So this is playing with symbiotics here. So if we say KRS-One, we're looking at 9/11 this way and 9/11 that way. Two different ways of looking at that. And I'm looking at how he seems like when he's on it, he's like beaming with light in his eyes, like Jim Carrey, so he's got some info. So I'm thinking about these terms like pinning the tail on the donkey, and then I'm looking at stories like Don Quixote, and it's interesting how D flipped over as a B, and I see like the BK Burger King symbols, and I'm looking at these symbols. And I'm thinking, okay, playing around with the donkey, and getting information. Because when we say pinning the tail, I'm looking at these terms and symbology that kind of collaborates. Because when you look how the towers were taken down, this shit gets deeper here. So if no one's tuning in now, so hopefully someone catches this on the rewind. I know I'm late. It's like midnight here. A little past, but check it.
You as fast as we possibly can and making sure that it's accurate at the same time. So
Donald Trump is on the line. I mean, we know him as the man behind lots of real estate in Manhattan, and of course, Donald this morning.
Well, I have a window that looks directly at the World Trade at the building. I see the foreground and.
Donald Allen Marcus here. Your building is the Trump Tower is one of the great tourist attractions in the world. It's well known universally. Are you taking any precautions there in light of what happened at the World Trade Center?
Well, Alan, we've always had, as you know, very, very strong security, but there's very little you can do about planes crashing into a building. I mean, you look at Larry Silverstein, who's a terrific owner of stone and brick and mortar and steel, and there are thousands of people walking over the debris, over the Brooklyn Bridge, where they're sending them out over the Brooklyn Bridge to Brooklyn, and then I guess they're going to have to figure out how to get home from there. But they have between 1 foot and 2 feet of debris right in front of a building that's probably...
This is on Channel 9 News.
how you doing on this kind of day?
Channel 9 News.
At some point, we're going to put all this behind
See the
us.
9?
Visionary, particularly in New York real estate. What do you think that we ought to do as a city, as a people, when all of this gets, when the mourning stops, when the dead are honored, and we found out what caused it and maybe corrected it? What does the city need to do?
Well, I guess the big thing that you really will have to do is never forget. You just can't
skyline of New York, you see these two buildings, whether you love them or don't love them, they were a great part of the skyline. And then when you look at the skyline after 2001, and you're going to see a skyline.
This is where he first mentions going for president.
What New York looked like in the year 2000, and then what New York looked like just a year later. They didn't say what happened. In the year 2000, you considered running for president. If you had done that, if you had been successful, what do you think you'd be doing right now?
In the year 2000, you considered running for president. If you hadn't done that, what would you be doing right now? In the year 2000.
Well, I'd be taking a very, very tough line, Alan. I mean, most people feel they know at least approximately the group of people that did this and where they are. But boy, would you have to take a hard line on this. This just can't be tolerated, and it's got to be very, very stern. This is, as you and
Channel
I
9 News on 9/11.
Probably worse than Pearl Harbor. Many more people are dead, and
I wonder what time it was.
No idea, but I have somebody that was down there who witnessed at least 10 people jumping out of the building from 70 and 80 stories up in the air. I mean, you probably have 25 or 30,000 is the number I've heard, but I would think would be much more than that. I think the most of the damage will be caused not by even in the building in terms of the people dead, but by the people on the streets from falling debris.
Donald, you're probably the best known builder, particularly of great buildings in the city. There's a great deal of
Same kind of terminology.
The damage and the
This whole COVID crap of.
By the airplane.
It's interesting. I'm not saying one thing or another. It's just interesting.
Or
Damn.
aftershock. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, it was an architectural defect.
We said about people committing suicide.
Very, very strong building. Don't forget, that took a big bomb in the basement. Now, the basement is the most vulnerable place because that's your foundation. And it withstood that. And I got to see that area about 3 or 4 days
This was,
after it took
what,
place,
like
because one of
15
my
years
structural
before he
engineers
became president?
actually took me for a tour because he did the building. And I said, I can't believe it. The building was standing solid. And half
But
of
they
the
mentioned him
columns
being
were blown
president
out.
on
So
9/11
this
here.
was an unbelievable,
So this was his
powerful
big
building.
thing here
If
on
you know
9/11.
anything
So
about
the
structure,
symbology
it
is
was one of
deep.
the first buildings that was built from the outside.
Okay, so to get into that one even further. But now I'm going to get into the symbology here too. It's crazy. This is crazy. Okay, first I'm going to go to my symbology. Damn. Dennis Rodman 91. Yeah, that's tough. Crazy. This shit is fucking nuts. So then we're also looking at Red Bull. Damn, and Building 7 that went down. So when we look at Red Bull, I'm just going to jump to my stuff here. So with Red Bull, 7 letters. And it's also red is 9 and Bull breaks down to 11. You see the 11 in Bull too. It gets crazy. So just like Bible, we got the 2 bulls, right? The 2 bull cane. All this symbology here with Red Bull. So Red Bull did the jumper from outer space, proving that the world was a globe. Oh yeah, this is nuts. So when we look at the symbology, it's easy to my pictures. Fade on me here. So when we look at 7 and 4 is 11. W and M is also 9. There are different ways of looking at it because we can see the W. All right, I'm going to break this down. Then we see MG for the mother goddess. So this gets deep. So when we look at 9, we can obviously see symbiosis with Samson and Delilah knocking the towers down. And it's like a suicidal thing. Samson's a martyr, right? He's taking down the tower, taking himself down. So I'm looking at the patterns. I'm looking at the letters and the symbols. Oh, this shit's deep. I'm going to show something new, too, that just dawned on me. I can just jump to it with this here. So when we look at, this is on my sweater, it is in the page. This relates to New York City. This was the World Trade Center. And the reference you'll find of this is Jonah, but it's also where Samson took down the towers too. But ironically, I can only find Jonah in this one. Look when I Google, do some further research, you'll see. So we're dealing with 9/11 in the letter, in the words. But we also know that Samson is Mason and Delilah, but we also see the 11. And we see idea. So we see Mason, idea. So Mason, we're dealing with building. We're dealing with idea. So just like red and this duality kind of thing going on. So check this out. It gets really freaking deep. Damn, she gets really deep. Look at the Nike sign. Where did I put that? Here we go. So not only do we see Anubis, and Anubis, anu is a new, like the new, anu is something new, and bis is biz, like business, dealing with the World Trade Center, new business. Not only do we see the two arms, like the two buildings, right? We see Anubis, highlighted that. Facing west. Do we see Anubis? We see NI, we see the 9, and NI, and the K is 11. And we see the the crown, where there was actually 3 towers that were taken down. It wasn't 2 towers, there were 3 towers that were taken down on 9/11. Shit is really deep. By an airplane, 2 airplanes. But I just see like airplane wing. I see a lot of shit there. Playing around with that there. But damn, but you see the Nike too. So we start seeing this 9/11 symbolism in a lot of stuff. And to me, it's symbiotic of a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. On that show later. But when you look at the 9 and 11, we're looking at a paradigm. It's 2 dimes, a pair of a dime, the 2 axes, like because we see money on the top of the dartboard. So when we're dealing with a paradigm, also they say paradigm shift. The shift is dealing with that 1, the wand, just like the rib, with Adam's rib with the vibration, with the red bull, the red and the blue, whatever. But there's a shift in balance, like that seesaw. And that has to do with the 9 and the 11, just like the split of the 8 and the 8 with the 4s, because there's different alphabets with different numbers associated to them. But like I was saying before about the T and the K, it's just like A is 1, it's like the closed, open legs, closed legs, like the male and the female. But then we also see that hinge with that compass right there, right, with the G in the center. So we see ground 0, right, like we were talking about, and then you see the two towers leaning, and then whole lot of stuff, symbiotics inside of G. We see like the fetus, like rebirth, and whoa, it gets deep. It gets deep. So we do this like terraforming kind of symbology here. So damn. I got more stuff on 9/11, but what hit me was that pitting the tail on the donkey, and thinking about how Donald Trump called in on that day. And then I was thinking about Don Quixote, the old story as a kid, and I'm seeing all the symbiotics, because there was like the windmill was a big part of it, which is like a tower. And it's almost like a Tower of Babel kind of thing, but it just got people chasing their tails. Right? But I'll leave it at that for this one, for 9/11, unless I come up, see if we got any comments. See if I got some more symbols here too. Oh yeah, I do. Thanks for checking my stream. And if you got any comments, leave them. If you see any 9/11 symbology, drop it. I want to revisit this. We'll get back into the Wizard of Oz. But there's so much having to do with this too. I mean, we see 11 and Illuminati with the two L's, and it's just in so much symbology. I'll save some of this for later. Oh, damn. So much on 9/11. I know I'm missing some stuff here. But also getting into Building 7 and the big thing that happened out of that too was the Patriot Act. And it gets deep. So anyway, that's more on 9/11. I don't want to get too much other stuff because 9/11, the big stuff was that Nike symbol, Donald Trump calling in, and then the KRS-One talk, and seeing the 9/11 symbology, and I'm seeing a lot of stuff, and then that Masonic compass, how we see that there too, and the MG also being 11. And then also we're talking about with the W, how the W's hidden in the reflection too. You could also see that too as the 5, and the M is the 13, the 4. So different, you see different symbiotics there. Okay, this is it, Renégade. This is a quick stream, quick follow up. I'm going to bed pretty soon. It's really late. Catch me on the next one. Thank you.